And
legend.
Ingan,
Woo!
is this the right time to bring out the Sicilian? It's another debut pick.
I mean, they have the luxury of doing it. They've secured a playoff spot, might even secure the first seed. So it's time to experiment. But this isn't that much of a cheese because Redmar and Rockhart has mentioned that this has been used a lot in the different regions. And even flex their roles, not just the mid lane. I believe this was used also at the gold lane a lot of times, even in ranked games.
But here's the thing. I would be okay if that was just the only off thing about this draft. I'm gonna use the word off in a very liberal way, because you also have King Kong on the alpha now. Prior,
Okay.
the same very matchup. The alpha was rocked by Kirk in the XP
With the
to
Revitalize.
stick it up to Flap,
Yeah.
to stick it up to the Phoveus. But now that it's kind of switched up, I don't know if that's what irks me about this. It's not the Sicilian pick alone.
Yeah.
It's the fact that it's comboed with a few other factors that don't support Fnatic Onyx's winning image. Unless again, just as how versatile they are, as how flexible they are, the way they play is just that deep too.
Honestly, for me, I think it's the fatigue for Cyric, for King Kong, but King Kong enters. And the save coming in from Busco with the guiding win. I think it's the fatigue. Did you see his Fanny play a while
For
ago?
sure.
Man, you could feel his fingers hurting with all the cables, all the cutthroats he performed. He hasn't died a single time, but did dish out a lot of damage, dish out a lot of kills. Maybe he wants to relax for game number 2, but still has a viable option.
What are you saying about me and my alpha mains?
It's an easier compared to a Fanny, but
Whoa!
look at this, a catch onto Flap, forcing out his flicker. And the aggression of Fnatic clearly hasn't stopped. Their rotation might actually be better and faster compared to Game 1 with the presence of Brusco's Matilda.
I mean, they are still waiting for the Heart Guard in the Ghost Flap.
And Kirk with the Primal Wrath as well, trying to dish out the damage onto Flap. Well, Flap TZ manages to rock the Infernal Pursuit. And King Kong with the Retribution manages to get the first turtle. Flap TZ in trouble here as he tries to walk away, will survive. But Fnatic gets a turtle.
Ogwin still doesn't have the Hearth Guard. I'm pretty sure if the timing was right, maybe FCAP would have leaned hard into it, but this does give the first turtle over to Fnatic Onic Philippines. And you're right, again, very early game centric. I think they do need this. They need this late game insurance, and they also need, well, we need the 76th unique hero pick in MPL Philippines Season 14. That's, what now? 65% of the heroes?
Wait, 65?
Yeah, that's about...
Do we have 118 or 120?
120. We've already broken 120.
Yeah, especially with Suyo.
Suyu.
How do you pronounce it? Suyo.
Suyu. He's coming out of the playoffs, but regardless.
Yeah, so 65% might be the number. Let's just ask Redmar later on, but here comes the Sanguine Claws onto Kyle TZ.
Kyle.
Will pop his Viraga armor, and that's the beauty of having a Sicilian. Apart from the late game insurance, you have additional crowd control with the Sanguine Claws AoE as well. And here comes the over-aggression of Fnatic. Paired up with the Matilda, they can outmaneuver Falcon's Apbren.
Oh no!
King
Kyle's
Kong.
going down!
And the next target might be Super Marco, but few here to the rescue. As Fnatic Onic, 3 Sonics working on Super Marco. The Heart Guard is ready to be expended though, so at any given moment, Super Marco's in trouble. Ogwin rather's gonna make sure he's safe.
All right, here's the thing. You forgot to mention one thing. You talked about the CC. You talked about the late game potential. You know what else Super Friends brings to the table?
What?
Range.
Exactly.
I remember the days when the Sicilian would be picked up just because there's a Farsa on the other side. And you need to close that gap. And because of those Sanguine Claws, my boy, for all those who missed out on when Sicilian was a thing, that just breaks the game in half. Like, you can't even touch, usually, the Sicilian player.
Yeah, so right now Super Friends has the luxury of doing that. As we speak, just working on Kyle TZ. Another chain crowd control might be able to bring him down. Just look at the damage coming in from Fnatic Onic as he tried to work on Flap TZ with Infernal Pursuit despite the Heart Guard for there. And here comes Kelra with the Blazing Duet, gonna finish the job and bring down Ogwin. Just total dominance for Fnatic, and they're not even done!
Oh! That's gotta be frustrating. Again, usually, you see a Phoveus dunking on fools. he usually would just be, you know, his life would be coming back there. It's like you're running him through a blender. Like, what happened?
I love how you have sound effects for the life bar, but not for your favorite hero, Bane.
Let's not talk about that. But still, Fnatic Onic, 4,000 gold ahead, 5 minutes in. This is not the way I foresaw this happening. Because again, there's a good amount of sustain on FCAP, right?
Yeah.
And there's a good amount of dive coming in from them. It's a good quality dive. But FNAP have denied all of that.
I'm actually curious what Few has been getting with this IMU. I haven't... I might have missed it. I'm not quite sure.
Ideally, he'd be getting...
Maybe Circling Eagle
the Primal
or
Wrath,
the Primal Wrath,
right? Because it comes with the transformation. Maybe when, you know, when you find yourself in a pickle, you steal the Bat's Feast.
Yeah, but that's just a defensive move.
Very defensive, yes, you're right.
Okay, now they're going to work on Kyle TZ here. Again, Circling Eagle. Brusco, one of those aggressive roamers when it comes to the Matilda, not afraid to go in, just dive in, aid the members of Fnatic Onic as they work on the bottom lane turret. These are 5 members. I know 4 because Kirk's up top. Let's see who's going to make a play first.
This is...
Speaking of range, you mentioned this, the range, the crowd control. Even the crowd control is ranged.
It's low cost. It doesn't put FNOP in danger. Usually, when you try to go for CCs, again, point in comparison, Few, when he tries to terrorize FNOP, he has to be in range. He has to come up close.
Oh,
Sanguine Claws don't care!
Speaking of Few, he has to pop his Purify here. He has his, the Bat's Feast, though. But Super Prince, again, just showing total domination here with the Bat's Impact. As early as 6 minutes in, you can already feel the damage coming in from Super Prince. And I'm curious what items he has already, because do you see each Bat Impact just dealing enough damage?
That's the nature of the beast. Sure, items will come into play, but the mechanic... Oh! Kirk, no one home.
Kirk missed flicker there, but a perfect opportunity for Falcon's Apbren to counterattack as Fnatic Onic will get another turret. Just looking at the sustain of Fnatic Onic, they're not even afraid to go up against 5 members of Falcon's Apbren this deep.
They're not afraid. All right, so we were talking about Bat's Impact, right? Every cast within a timer, Super Prince, he eats more mana, henceforth deals more damage. That's why. It'll just eventually eat into his mana, you just keep chunking away until he doesn't have any more. But I would reckon, since he's been hitting people with skills and getting away with so much, he can afford it.
Look at King Kong just literally leading the charge with the Spear of Alpha. Again, he's really activated because of the presence of Brusco with this Matilda. A Guiding Wind can ensure safety for King Kong without suffering any casualties. And here comes the Sanguine's Claws once again, catching Ogwyn along with the Bat's Impact, forcing Flapteezy as well to walk away. Super Marco has to recall because the push might ensue for Fnatic.
Breaking news. After everything FNOP has done, FCAP gets their first turret push. That's where Marco came from.
And just look at this. 4 members of Fnatic zoning out the members of Falcon's Apbren as King Kong works on the Lord. There was an attempt there to steal the Lord. He's not going to cast that Spear of Destruction as King Kong with an uncontested, literally alone in his own island to deal with that Lord.
He is so comfortable. He is, what, 2,500 gold up, I'd reckon, over Kyle TZ. And the rest is history. Like, you can do the math, but on a roll-per-roll basis, Fnatic Onic dwarf FCAP.
Yeah, literally.
They are in a whole different economic bracket. They paid a different kind of tax.
Since game 1. Actually, since week 1, you could argue.
The Bees don't want to talk about that.
Yeah.
This was a chance for FCAP to get one over FNOP, but this might even be worse than the first time they met. That was a 3-game series. We're looking at a potential sweep.
Potential sweep might happen here as Fnatic Onic charges in the middle lane, trying to burst down this inhibitor turret, and they will do it successfully. They still have the Lord as King Kong works on the top lane, and Keller and Kirk onto the bottom lane. Super Prince not afraid to zone out the members with the Bat's Impact. Again, they're going to burst down the inhibitor down bottom. It's just the inhibitor up top remaining for Falcon's Apbren.
It's so tough for FCAP.
Wow! The chain CC from Fnatic is just too much. Last Insanity has to be used here to clear out the minions. Circling Eagle and Keller goes in for the blazing duet. Might be able to bring down Kyle TZ here. Pops his immortality. Looking at King Kong, gonna get a mega kill as they take the game, the series. 12-0.